auto sequence start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, hello there. Welcome, my fellow attention seekers, to another installment of Canned Conversation. My name is Andrew, and with me, as always, my good friend Steven.
Hola, amigo.
Hola. So tell me, my friend, did you join the rest of the world and go see the latest ripoff of Iron Eagle on opening weekend?
What I know is that if Iron Eagle was good enough, they would probably remake it, but they didn't. Instead, they remade Top Gun, and people go, "Oh my God, this is better than the first." So it's better than Iron Eagle's original by double, at least, probably.
Sort of fighting words.
Just saying.
You know, I like I mentioned in that episode, they made 4 total Iron Eagles, so they made additional Iron Eagles well before they made a sequel to the.
They made one good
Gun.
Iron Eagle and then 3 crap Iron Eagles. They made one great Top Gun, and now they made a second great Top Gun. I haven't seen it.
Just because Iron Eagle never paid $11,000 an hour or 10 minutes to the Navy for their use of plane, I wouldn't rate them based on that. But I'm sure it's okay. Did you see it yet?
I didn't.
Okay.
No.
Gonna?
They say you have to see it in a theater. Like, that's the only way it was released. You have to go see it on the biggest screen possible with the biggest sound effects possible. So at some point, if everybody stops going, I might go.
The way I heard it is you have to rent a plane and see it on the canopy
in flight. Oh.
Right, as you're watching it. That's the only way to see it.
If they came out with like a 3D optical, what are those 3D versions or VR versions? Oculus. If they came out with like an Oculus version, that would be even better.
All right.
I could do that from home as well.
There you go. Maybe they do. I don't know. I don't own one of those, but can you?
I don't either, but
Okay.
if my wife ever lets me buy one, it would be awesome.
You'll let us know?
Yes, I will.
All right. As is our pleasure, one of us always brings a new, unique, or rare canned beverage to try. And while we lap up its contents, we do our very best to entertain you with our take on life's most puzzling questions. Later in the show, we'll review and rate the canned beverage and let you know if you should try it the next time you see a llama eating pajamas down by the bay, where the watermelons grow.
Where's that from?
The song, Where the Watermelons Grow.
What?
Back to my home, I dare not go. For if I do, my mother will say. And then
the
have
llama?
you ever seen a llama eating pajamas? There's additional.
Is that
You never
a new-
heard that?
is
You
that
never
a new
sang that with
song
your
out?
kids?
No.
Oh, that's way old. We sang that when we were young.
Huh. Well, there you go. We're like in 1340. When was that? When the llamas were around?
You need a can, my friend. Let's get this ready.
Let's roll.
All right.
Which one am I?
You're the worst kind. You're high maintenance, but you think you're low maintenance.
I don't see that.
You don't see that? Waiter, I'll begin with the house salad, but I don't want the regular dressing. I'll have the balsamic vinegar and oil, but on the side. And then the salmon with the mustard sauce, but I want the mustard sauce on the side. On the side is a very big thing for you.
Well, I just want it the way I want it.
I know. High maintenance.
A little bit of a change up from some of the movies that we normally do, with comedies or actions.
Yeah.
That one is one of my wife's favorite movies, and very pertinent to the topic at hand today.
Absolutely.
But let's start with the can. So today, I brought the can. It is a very, very tall can.
It's huge.
It is monster.
It says it's 1 pint, so I guess it's skinnier than and taller than most 1 pints or something. I don't know.
I guess it's just whenever we pull out these cans that are even just the largest ones they sell, it's sort of daunting because you're like, do I have to finish this before?
It's not 1 pint. It's 1 pint plus 3.2 Florida ounces.
Ounces.
It's actually 19.2 Florida ounces total.
This is as big as you can get.
Without getting a tall boy, which would be 20.
Right. There's probably some legal
2 by
limit
4, right?
on how big the cans can get, but yeah.
It's a monster.
All right, so this is a Frank's Red Hot Michelada.
What's a Michelada?
A Michelada is a lager with natural flavors and artificial colors. But from what I know about Micheladas, it's a sort of a Spanish cocktail made with beer and lime and spicy ingredients like chilies or hot sauce. you can add some additional things. It very much reminds me of a what are those? Bloody Marys,
Yeah.
but without the tequila. And then I guess in some places they salt the rim, so it's almost like a little bit of a margarita.
So it's like a
'Cause it's got the
margarita and a
lime
Bloody Mary
juice.
had a baby. This is what it turns into.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is made by Frank's. The last Frank's item that we had was a Bloody Mary, and that was in our last October's Halloween show.
You know what I like about Frank's? You can put that S on anything.
Exactly. And it spells that out on the can very large for you and says, now we've put that S into our own bar-crafted Michelada, and I hope I'm saying that correctly, but that's how I've always said it, recipe. Frank's Red Hot Original Cayenne Pepper Sauce blends with the natural flavors of lime and Worcestershire sauce and a hint of salt to bring a whole lot of flavor to this refreshing beer cocktail. So this is a wild one. We've had a lot of beers in a row, and I feel, I know I snuck in that Mountain Rita, but I feel like we've done a lot of beers, especially with 3 in the last episode. So
Yeah, and just shout out to some listeners that I've run into lately. A lot of our recommendations are popping up now at events that I've been to, and they're like, "Hey, I heard this one. Like Mountain Ritas came up. We saw those this weekend. Some other things came up. People were like, "Hey, I tried this. This was really good." Or I rated this a 1. How did you rate this a 3? So I've had a lot of those conversations lately, which is kind of fun. So that's cool.
that's great. That's the best part of, I think, doing this is I had the same where a couple of people asked me, hey, I need some recommendations. And I'm about to go up to the alcohol store, the liquor store.
The alcohol
right.
store.
Tell me some 4s and 5s on the spot. I'm like, you can download that.
Yeah, the whole
we
spreadsheet
had.
right on our Facebook page. It's pinned at the top.
Yeah.
You can go check it out. I actually had somebody have an argument with me. That Norm Stewart. Do you remember that Norm Stewart can you brought at some point?
Yes.
Yeah, and somebody's like, "You guys rated that a 3, I think, and somewhere in there." They rated it a 1, and they were at a party, and they made somebody else drink it, and they rated it a 5, and they like started sending me pictures and things, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what is going on?" They're like, "We're having an argument about this Norm Stewart beer." Anyway, pretty
All
cool.
right. The other thing I wanted to throw in there is an update on the possible stolen car that I had purchased.
Oh yeah, I kind
So-
of forget that's a thing still.
Right, because recall that I purchased this car for my daughter back in December, and we are now in early June. And I just, good news, don't hold your applause. Let's applause this. I just now got the title.
So you are officially the owner of the car now, and you
Well,
don't.
I just got the title, so we haven't taken it to the DMV yet.
Okay,
we need
so
to carve out 7 hours of a free time.
You take the day off,
Right.
get there early.
So we have all of the paperwork
But
on
you
the
don't
ready.
you still have a dealer plate on it, and
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but
you're making progress though, because that was the hardest hurdle is actually owning it.
right. At one point, we thought this is just not going to happen, and we're going to have to take this car back, and it'll be given back to the person who won't relinquish the title. But yes, we have the title. Apparently has something on it called a rider. I'm not really sure what that is, but apparently our state is okay with those. So there is at least one little potential hiccup that the lady at the dealership said. She's like, "You should be fine." Those are the last words.
Those are famous last
Right.
words. Because is a rider the same as kind of like a lien? Like somebody's written something against that loan,
I
or something
believe, but
against
then
that title.
supposedly signed off.
Okay, so you think a rider is the ending process of a lien against a title?
I believe so. Yes, in whatever state it originated from, which I think was New Jersey. So they have some means. I'm sure that there are people out there way smarter in this field than I am.
Yeah. Let us know whether or not Andrew's vehicle is actually going to be repossessed sometime soon.
Well, it'll just be a matter of we'll go to the DMV, wait in line for 6 hours, and then we'll get to the front and they'll go, "Oh, there's a rider on there. You got to take this back to the person that issued it." And the dealership said, "We can apply for a title that's clean of all of this, but it'll take 8 weeks to process through the
You're like,
government."
what's 8 weeks now? Because we're already 6 months in. Who gives a crap?
Right. So either we're going to get registration complete or we'll be told to go back to the drawing board for another 8 weeks or so.
brutal.
So fingers crossed, we'll get there eventually. All right. So the next thing I wanted to say was I was with the family and we were just hanging out, doing some family activities on the weekend. And, we banter about back and forth.
Sure.
And at some point, one of my kids said, Dad, you're high maintenance. And just threw it out there. And I'd never really heard my kids say that before, in terms of high maintenance, low maintenance. I mean, I've always known what those two, or thought I knew what those two things meant. And I fancy myself being fairly self-aware. So I immediately, kind of took the thinker's pose and was like, am I high maintenance?
Two things that befuddle me. One is that you haven't heard your kids talk about high maintenance and low maintenance before, because I feel like that happens a lot. They're like, ugh. Like anytime somebody's driving you crazy, you're so high maintenance.
Right.
Two is, I love that you think you fancy yourself on being self-aware. I think we'll get into that later in the episode if we're going to talk about high maintenance and low maintenance. So it'll be fun. I can't wait.
Yeah, and they had brought those terms up, but it mostly related to either their friends or we both have daughters and they're old in their teens and older teen years, so they've dated, so they've talked about guys or potential dates, being high and low maintenance kind of thing, but they've never had just turned around and said, "Dad, you're high maintenance."
Okay, so it's never been directed at you, but
right.
They understood the concept.
Now they've had plenty of just things that they've had grievance with, and they just come out with that of, here's what I think could be better in this house. Here are the rules I think you could change. But they never tied it back to a high or low maintenance. And
Okay.
And I wondered, does this have some traction? Does this have some legs?
Okay.
So I guess my first question is to you, because I want to hear, what do you think makes a person high maintenance?
So I think to me, it boils down to flexibility. Like there's a lot of people who get set in their ways, and they want things their way. So inflexibility in how you interact with the world around you. I want it this way. I want to be here at this time. I want to eat this, and I don't want that. I don't like this. I like that. I don't want to do that. I want to do this. It makes everybody else interact on your schedule or on your time or on your rules or within your parameters. You become the high maintenance person. Everybody's catering to you because you have a certain way that you want the world to work, and you expect everybody to come around to your way. So that makes you high maintenance. I want to wear the nicest things because I want to look nice, nice. Or I all those things are kind of inward reflecting of, I want things this way. And that inflexibility of, well, maybe I don't need the nicest things because we can save money and do something else. Or maybe I don't care that I don't get my salad dressing on the side. I can deal with that, right? Or like, maybe I don't care that I don't have a planned out itinerary for every minute of every day on my vacation. Maybe I'm okay with going, today we're going to have nothing on the agenda and we're just going to have fun. Whatever that is, don't care. So there you go.
So let me ask you this question. Say that you were an introvert.
Okay.
And you really didn't have many friends. You didn't have a wife and kids. You pretty much lived on your own, did your job. But you had the qualities of loved buying expensive clothes, loved getting ready and primping yourself to look good for whatever you're doing by yourself. Had an agenda for, say that you took a road trip by yourself to somewhere and you had every minute of the day planned out. Some of those things that you just qualified as an example of being high maintenance, if you were by yourself, would you still be high maintenance?
So you're missing the maintenance. You're high self-maintenance possibly, but high maintenance is how you impact the world around you based on your needs. I want people to cater to me in some way, shape, or form. My rules, my timing, my food desires, whatever that is. So if you're by yourself and you're impacting no one, do whatever you want. You are just maintenance to yourself. Like you're doing it because it makes you happy. Whatever, you get to do things your way because it doesn't impact anybody. When you make other people around you kind of cater to you, I expect this on my birthday. I expect you to treat me a certain way. I expect you to open the doors for me on every door ever, or whatever those things are. You're like, oh my God, you're taking a lot of my time with your needs.
So I agree with you 100%. And here's why I asked you the question, because you were giving me some examples of some what I would call symptoms of a problem, let's say.
Yeah.
Where what I'm driving to is sort of the root and going, if I had to define what makes a person high maintenance, I came up with 3 things.
Okay.
That person requires a lot of other people's time, money, or attention. So I broke it down into basically 3 categories, and they all require other people's time, money, or attention. So I don't necessarily agree that if you're a big spender on clothing, like you want all the best name brands, if you make the money on your own and you go to the high-end shops and you purchase the clothes and you take 5 hours to get ready before you go someplace and get to a party, that doesn't make you high maintenance.
No, but if you expect your friends to purchase you those same high-end gifts because that's your standard, then you're like, I'm imposing my standards on what their gift can be to me. I expect a Gucci purse. I expect whatever. Those kind of things.
Exactly.
That's
So-
impacting someone else.
So I just sort of wanted to qualify or add to what you were saying by making sure the qualification is that it impedes on other people's time, money, or attention.
That would be the maintenance part of it, right? Like somebody's having to maintain your
Exactly.
lifestyle.
So if I think about it, I kind of broke each one out and I wanted to throw out some fun examples or what I think are some things that would kind of help clarify this. Because I think a lot of people think in sort of the terms of that you were at first glance. They're like, they might think, oh, the person that requires all high-end, Gucci.
Right. The one person who wears designer clothes,
Yes.
that doesn't make them high maintenance.
Right. But they think of that first.
As being high maintenance.
Right.
Yeah.
But then when you drill down to it, so in terms of time, I put down here a couple of things. Everything is urgent to that person. They never have enough time. And their urgency becomes your urgency. Their poor planning becomes
your emergency.
Your emergency.
Oh, I've heard that. I love that quote. Your poor planning is not my emergency.
Exactly. If you and your wife had an event that started at 7, we'll get into what your particular wife and my wife had to say about
Because you
the
talked to my
maintenance.
wife, correct?
I did.
I know she told
So we'll
me,
get to
she's
that.
like, I'm doing stuff for your podcast. And I'm like, oh, great.
But let's say just two people who are married, right? And then you have an event at 7, and one of those persons requires multiple hours to get ready. That's just in their nature. But no matter how early that they start getting ready, it always takes them longer than they expected. Everything is urgent. And now we're in emergency mode. You have to go run out and start the car. You have to go to the bank and get money. We're running late. And now we're going to be late. And it's your friends, it's your friend's party that you didn't want to be late to. I say that's a high maintenance.
Yeah. Like my wife sometimes expects me to have a teleporter. Like I got ready and we have to be there by 5. Well, it's 5. I can't teleport us there to half an hour. So we're going to be late. And I hate being late to stuff. So
Right.
yeah, I'm with you there.
Here's another example of time when you're not self-sufficient. Anyone has a phone and a smartphone nowadays, but if you're with somebody and they're like, can you tell me the phone number of that place that I need to call?
You're like, you can use your thumbs work just as well as mine.
Do you not know how to do that? Or basically anything in the service arena. My wife owns a cake shop and this happens all the time. It's too many to count, where a person calls in and they're just having a simple birthday party with 20 people and they are like, hey, I need a cake. And I need to spend 2 hours with you talking about it. And that they have this expectation. And my wife, will play along and she goes for 2 hours. And she's like, I am losing all kinds of productivity time on these other cakes I need to be doing. She puts the phone down and the next day the person calls back or messages on one of the social media things. Hey, are you working on that cake yet? Because I'm a little afraid of how you're going to cook that cake. There have been customers that have been telling her how they want cake baked, right? She's a professional.
Right. She's
baker.
baked thousands of pounds of cake.
Right. So just completely
and she's been in
impeding
business for like 12 years or 15 years or something crazy by now. And you're like, she knows cake better than 99.9% of the people in the world.
Right. It's
Leave
not
her
like she's
alone.
like, hey, I got an easy bake in the back.
Right.
You just want me to do a high voltage
I'm going to go out
light?
and grab a box of Betty Crocker and we're going to see if we can get this right this one time for you.
But
Gee,
anything in
Christmas.
terms of service where you require the service provider to go way above and beyond what the normal call of duty is. And I think most people sort of have an understanding, like if you're at a restaurant and go, hey, I would like this. And they go, we're not making that right now. You don't all of a sudden demand it.
Yeah.
Right?
You're going to make this and I know it's not on your menu. My ass.
So I equate that
respectful.
to being a Karen.
High maintenance? Oh, a Karen. Okay.
I think I put Karens in sort of that category of I'm not really self-sufficient enough to make things happen, and I
Everybody should be
require
catering
the
to me.
world to cater to me above and beyond what anyone else would do. And if it's not to my standard, I'm asking for the manager and making someone try to meet my ridiculous standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I can buy that.
So the next one's money. And this is where I think you were going with, especially
You got hooked on the clothes thing, didn't you?
Well, I thought about dating, right? Because a lot of people in the dating world, and I think in marriage world, talk about high maintenance and low maintenance. Because, if you're a low maintenance kind of person and you start dating a quote unquote high maintenance person, I don't know that match is going to be great. Unless that's what you're looking for.
You have a different value of money and a different way to spend for entertainment. Those kind of things really clash, right? Like I want to go out and spend a bunch of money and go to nice fancy restaurants. You're like, I want to go eat at Chick-fil-A,
right?
And I want to rent a
like
video from
buffets?
Redbox and come home, and like that's not going to work out.
Right. A little buffet and Netflix and chill, and I'm good. And they're like, no, you're going to take me to the 5-star restaurant.
Yep.
And I hope you bought me a gift because, that's fairly
It's
expected.
our 3-month anniversary.
Right. Right. And it's can't be just any gift, or can't be a gift that is small in value. It has to be something that I can put on my Instagram feed so that all my friends can drool over it.
Right.
And I think that's where I'm talking about money. Excessive shopping that you put on somebody else, right? Mm-hmm. And say, come with me. Oh, I can't get this shirt, but you could get it for me. Those types of words make me cringe a little when someone just has an expectation, not really a.
Yeah, I've talked to people recently who fit into this category, and I think the example was husband and wife budget appropriately with spending. Like you get this much for extra stuff, I get this much for extra stuff. Wife's extra stuff money gone. Husband pools to buy big stuff, maybe once or twice a year. Wife has to borrow money from husband's extra pool of money. She's like, you got all the money over here. I need this shirt. And you're like, you spent your money, but like you trying to support that habit of you've overextended yourself and now somebody else is responsible for something that you want versus you don't need any of that stuff. You just want somebody to facilitate more buying of things you don't need. Right.
We've split this up and I conveniently spend my amount so that I can come over to you now. I
budgeted correctly. And yeah.
Right. And I know you have the extra, so I'm going to impede on it and make this about me. Yeah, completely agree.
All right.
So the last one, I've talked about time and money. So the last one is attention. And I sum this up as, look at me. Look what I did. See how I'm great? Your story is great, but mine's better. And by the way, I'm a victim and everything that happens to me is the worst and you need to hear about it.
Yeah. Yes. There are those people that suck up all the oxygen in the room because their life is more important.
I want to cut that sentence out and have that on standby for some of the time I meet up with those people. And if they start talking, I pull out a recorder or a player and just play that and see if the look on their face changes. Like, are they aware enough to know? Because I think that's all too what it comes back to, because we've been talking a lot about high maintenance people, is the worst kind of high maintenance person is the person that doesn't think they're high maintenance.
Yeah. And so, and I will caveat this with, I try to be as self-aware as I possibly can be.
You fancy yourself too.
I'm not necessarily to the fanciest extent that you are, but I do try to be fairly self-aware, and I catch myself going, someone's asked me how things are, and I'm a storyteller, so I start talking, and I go, I never asked them how they were.
Right.
Like, that's super rude to like not reciprocate. Like, how are things for you? What'd you do this weekend? Like that part, I just go, I got all wrapped up in my stupid story. And then I'm like, my life's so awesome or so stupid or crazy or whatever it is that weekend. And then I'm like, crap, I didn't even say anything to them. Like, I didn't even ask if they had a good weekend. Like, so I try to be very hyper aware of going, the second my sentence stops, I go, how about your weekend? Or how about this? Like, try to make sure I'm not that guy who does that. Just goes, I'm going to consume all the oxygen and then go, okay, everybody about your business now that you know what I did. Because I'm important or something.
Right.
Which I'm not.
Like when they get done telling you, I tried this new restaurant. And you're like, yes, but let me tell you about that boat that I just bought that
right.
I went out on the lake with my family and caught the most giant fish ever. And then got caught the hook caught in me and I had to go to the hospital. And you should hear about all the stitches I had.
Yeah. And then go, moving on, right? Like dismiss everything else. Yeah.
Yeah. So. And I wrap up, I sort of, in terms of attention, when we're talking about high maintenance people, it's the sort of that person I think we all know that are addicted to drama. I think that's where I kind of place that person, where it seems like it seems like drama follows them or they're involved in it.
Yeah, they create it.
But it's all self-created
Yeah.
or self-imposed.
Yep.
Or I'm going to make sure I have a foot into everything so that if the slightest hint of drama appears, I appear that I'm all
part of it.
in it.
I go find it and go, ooh, how can I get involved? Yeah.
Right. And then tell the world how much you're involved, tell them how you're the one trying to maybe rectify the
better. Yep.
situation, and then looking for everybody's praise and applause.
Because you did such a great job of
Right.
fixing a big problem that you found
Yes.
that probably actually you created.
Or, yeah, exactly. All of the above.
You butted into whatever it is. Yeah. Cool.
So,
Agree with that
I mean,
100%.
I dissected to a certain extent that. So do you want to add anything to that? I mean, like I said, I put it into 3 basic categories today.
I think I agree with the 3 categories. I think the thing that you said at the very beginning of how fancy self-awareness can be, I think that's probably part of it as well. Like just people not realizing how they are being perceived is probably part of it. But also I think, I don't know. I get made fun of on this podcast sometimes for being like some sort of weird, like emotional guy, or whatever that is. But I think there's always that there's something driving that behavior that I always want to try to figure out and go, why do you do that? What are you missing that you have to be either the center of attention or spending the money on the biggest things or expecting people to cater to your needs? What are you missing in life
Right.
that's causing that weirdness to happen? Because that seems stressful and like a lot of work. Like to be high maintenance, like you're asking people to, like you're getting involved in stuff you shouldn't. You're asking for all these special things from a waiter or from a service person or whatever. And you're like, God, there's a lot easier way to live than that.
Yeah, and I would just take it one step further because I also love like the human construct and the human psyche. And whenever I think those same questions, I then try to answer them and go, well, I can't know because I'm not that person.
Yeah.
So I have to think that there's something that's in that person that there's some satisfaction they're deriving that not other people get.
They're getting correct. There's a need there's a itch that's being scratched. There's a need
Right.
that's being fulfilled by something that they think they're at least trying to get that, whatever that is.
Yes. And they don't realize that there are a lot of other people that are really put off by that. Okay. They might be scratching that need. But, it's to the detriment
of everything else around them. Everybody around them. Yeah. So we've concluded that we're low maintenance.
No, I haven't gotten there yet. That's
my
the
God.
next piece. I want to talk about us. Now that we've covered the gamut of what it is, now we've kind of, you've muddled in a little bit of examples of yourself. But I want to get down to the nitty gritty because my kids said, Dad, you're high maintenance. And I said,
And you don't think you are.
do I meet these 3 criteria?
Okay.
Because of course I have specific criteria,
Right.
which may be high maintenance.
Yeah. There's some irony in this whole episode. But yeah, keep going.
All right. So the question is, do you think you are high or low maintenance? And give me some examples, perhaps.
So I think people can be high maintenance in areas. So I don't think I'm generally high maintenance. I feel like I'm fairly generally low maintenance. I'm pretty flexible. I don't really care about plans. I don't make a big deal at weight. Like I don't care what clothes I wear. I don't really care what I eat. I don't really care what I drink half the time. Like I just let waiters make the choices for me on a lot of stuff. Anytime I can let somebody else make a choice for me, I do because I don't care. Literally a lot of things. There are things that I'm probably viewed as high maintenance around. There are a lot of hobbies. Like I have passions. And so when I get like jacked up on things, like I'm gonna start doing wood turning or I'm going to hunt or like all these things like guitars and all this stuff that I get hobbies and passions about, I probably get more high maintenance about because I go spend money and I go, oh, I need it. I get fixated on it. So there's probably some high maintenance around that, some of that stuff. But, I have expensive hobbies, so I'm sure you ask my wife, we'll find out later what she said. But yeah, I think there's things I'm probably high maintenance.
I asked our spouses to give us some feedback, and we'll come back to that
I'm
a
going to
little
go
bit
with
later.
I am generally low maintenance.
Okay, but with periodic moments of high maintenance.
With ADD sporadic hobby based moments of high maintenance.
Okay, and I think obviously in all things life, there's not a 100% you're one or 100% you're the other.
Okay, so
there's
you tell
somewhere
me.
in between.
You're how am I generally high maintenance or low maintenance?
Right. So if you're
you tell me.
if you're like 80-20 or 90-10 in terms of being low maintenance 80 to 90% of the time and high maintenance 10% of the time, I'm going to call you low maintenance.
Okay.
Right? Everybody's going to have their moments. Everybody's going to come in one day and just need I need attention today.
Okay.
Whatever that might be.
So what do you think my
I think
split is?
I think you are generally low maintenance.
Okay.
In terms of, and I'll kind of equate it to what I put down for some of myself.
Okay.
Because I think you and I are a lot alike in some ways.
Okay.
Okay. In these areas, I think we're more like, there are things that we disagree on, aliens. And let's not get into it. And I can see you itching down the barrel. You like jumped out of your seat.
Yeah, I've had a lot of alien people reach out and go,
Alien people. Whew.
Yeah. I've been
You
talking
had
to
aliens coming
Yeah.
out. Okay. So in terms of time, because again, I broke it into these 3 categories, and such is my way to put everything in a category. Time. I manage my own time. I'm diligent in ensuring I have enough time for what is expected. When I have to be somewhere, I am good about getting there on time or a little early. That is just easy peasy. And now, granted, I shaved my head bald now, so I don't have hair to worry about. But I mean, I can time out when I need to be somewhere, when I need to do something, and I don't infringe on other people's. This is my personal opinion.
Yep.
Okay. I rarely ask other people to do things for me. I'm very self-sufficient.
Okay.
If I can't do it, I figure out how, usually before I try to ask other people. And that actually can be a downfall in your family because everyone comes to me as the IT person, as the fix the toilet, as my car's making a funny noise. So, but I feel like I try to really be self-sufficient in what I'm doing. Money, I don't like a lot of stuff, as I think has been told on this podcast a number of times. I actually don't. I prefer not having stuff, but the stuff I do get, I do spend money on because I get high quality. It's usually the more expensive option, but it's because I don't want to put maintenance into it. Right.
That's why this podcast sounds so good. Is because you bought really decent stuff, right?
That's not very. It doesn't break. Right.
We'd be doing this through a Samsung device if it was up to me.
Yeah, just right on our smartphones. I do buy higher expensive stuff. I try to keep it for a long period of time, right? My current car I've owned for 12 years. The car before that I owned for 10, and I expect to own it for a while to come. And I just because I want it to last. I'm a big believer in you get what you pay for.
Okay.
And in the attention area, I do like attention here and there. I do love to talk. Obviously, we wouldn't be doing this if I didn't. And I love to laugh with people. But that said, I don't think I flaunt my own achievements or successes or things that are wrong in my life. When I talk to people, I make an effort to ask them open-ended questions because I love talking to people and hearing their stories and then relating to it and having fun with it. Because if I tell my own story, people, they're like, okay, they tune in a little bit. But if you have someone tell their story, they're going to be super into it. And then you ask them questions and say, hey, what about this? What about this? It's so much more engaging. So I feel like I really put the attention I try to put the attention on others, but definitely with a flair of, hey, I'm going to add to it. I want to be involved in that conversation. I don't think I hate being in drama. Like I avoid that at all costs. When I see it coming, I run the other direction. Sometimes to a fault because I'm terrible at consoling or being, someone that a shoulder to cry on. I'm probably the worst. I don't give hugs very well. My family has told me that. Like they're all sad. Someone you'll be sad and they have to go, can I have a hug? And I'm like, oh man, I forgot. Like that's a thing. I'm just not good at that. Right. So
I forgot.
And it's terrible.
You human beings need hugs.
Right.
All right.
Us robots don't need that.
So, okay, what else you got? Sorry.
That's about it. I mean, that's just, and I very much enjoy time alone and doing my own thing when I get the opportunity. So like, I don't have to revel in everyone else's attention is basically the summary there.
That was the most interesting rundown of you I've ever heard. From a perspective of, you're like, hey, I'm not high maintenance because I'm extremely timely, but you forgot to mention that you expect other people to be timely and you get frustrated when they're not. You're by trade responsible for beating people into submission to make sure they hit their mark on.
Oh, in my job?
Yes.
Right.
So I would say I'm going to go with 66% high maintenance, 33% not, because you've broken into 3 categories. And I think the final category you were 100% correct on. You don't look for drama. You're not trying to get up in people's business. You want to have fun conversations, but you don't suck up all the oxygen, right? All that's, I 100% agree, super low maintenance. But the other 2, like there is some high maintenance. Like you're,
Sure. I didn't say 100%. I was just giving you
yeah.
sort of the high level.
You expect people to kind of cater towards your desire to have less clutter. Agree?
In my house, for sure.
Right,
I
so-
don't care about anybody else's space.
But
I mean, if I walk into your
the
house, I
people
don't
in-
expect you to.
Right. Our house is cluttered as hell. It would make your head explode if you lived at our house, right? Like, you know that. I know that.
But we visit, and
But you do. It doesn't bother you.
and
to
I
come
never
up-
say anything
You've
like,
never said a
"Whoa,
word.
look at all the uncleanliness."
But
whatever.
from your kids' perspective, this is where this started. Is your kids are like, you're high maintenance. It's because you've got rules around being you're self-sufficient and timely. They're not, right? So they view you as high maintenance because they're like, he expects me to cater to his. I want to be on time. I want to have this. I want to be self-sufficient. I want to look. This is how you're like. There's a reason why she said you're high maintenance because you expect them to cater to your structure of timing and your structure of stuff, right? Like if their rooms aren't clean, or you expect them to clean like a certain part of the house, or there's flour left on the table for too long, right? Or whatever those things are that you expect them to cater to. I don't like it there. You have to move it. And they're like, I like it there. I'm not moving it. Oh my butt, you're not. It's getting thrown away.
is there a difference because they're my children and I'm trying to, they're children, so that as they grow, you have to teach them and go, hey, this is what, keeping up with a clean house means. And
To you. But I think from her perspective, she's maintaining your lifestyle that you choose. Your child is going, my dad makes us do things a certain way. I'm having to maintain that. And I don't think it's the only way to do it. So there's only one way to skin a cat in dad's eyes, and this is it. And I have to maintain that. And that's where her high maintenance
so I'm
comes from.
impeding on their time.
Right.
Because again,
Or their view of what's right and wrong, right? Like it's your view of what's right is like, we should have this amount of clutter. And they're like, I want more clutter. And you're like, no, we don't.
all right.
I'm just throwing that out there.
I know. I hear you. No, and I'm open to that. But did I hear you correctly in saying I'm 66% high maintenance?
I did say
So you
that.
think I tipped the scale in the high maintenance
I did. I think you tipped. So
because of my cleanliness with the kids?
I think you are a structured person, and I'm not saying 66% high maintenance is bad. If I was your kid, I'd probably view you as 66. You're not a 60.
And they're 90%. They're like, you're 90% high maintenance.
That's probably a slighted view from them. They don't see you as much as a social person as I do. But I think you've got some especially from my perspective. I'm very unstructured. I don't have good plans. That's not who I am. I'm not clean. I'm not organized, and I don't plan well. You have all of those things. Like that's your strength is planning and all those things. So it appears to me like there's a lot of things you need from people around you to go, I'm working off this plan here. So
I would agree with you in terms of I really do have to do that with kids because you're in a family environment. Now, if you took kids out of the equation, if I didn't have kids, right, some of the things that you're saying, I impose upon myself. Now, I'm not trying to make this huge case that I'm low or high maintenance. Obviously, when I said this, I think that I scale towards low maintenance. But when I say low maintenance, it's me not impeding on other people's money, time, or attention. There are definitely things that I do. I hold myself to a certain standard on things that I want. And
maybe I meant you were 33%. Money and time. I don't think you flaunt stuff. I don't think the money thing is nothing. The attention thing is nothing. I think it's really just time. I think you have a time thing that you go, I need, and it's because I'm self-sufficient. I wouldn't even say self-sufficient. You're an efficiency crazy person.
Nerd.
Like it's like you're like the fewer steps as possible in everything, and I don't disagree with you. Like you're like, how do I get groceries to my house in as few steps as possible? How do I use the bathroom as few steps as possible? Like it's those things that you're hyper focused on efficiency, and I don't think anybody else in your house is hyper focused on efficiency at all. Like I don't think that's their thing.
True.
So I think those things impede on other people's view of efficiency. Like they don't. I'm like I don't. They don't care about efficiency. They don't care about how long it takes you to order something from the store or get whatever that is. But it's yours. You're like I'm driving this train. We're going to be efficient. And people are like, "Ugh, Dad."
And what's great is and I love your perspective on this, because if I apply it then over the top of my perspective, where I say, okay, I hear what you're saying 100%. And from their perspective, they probably go, oh, that does impede on my time, and that I gotta, put my stuff in my room that I just left out, or help do the dishes and put stuff away where it belongs. But at the end of the day, I'm impeding on a small piece of time so that it doesn't get to such a state of unclean that then it takes a huge amount of time to go in and rectify that situation. So I'm actually saving them time. I'm not costing them any additional time than what would probably be needed if you added it all up and had it become a huge entire weekend project of cleaning. I'm doing little bits at a time to help save them time. So I'm impeding not on their. So from my perspective,
Right.
I am not impeding on their time at all. But from their perspective, because of what's important to them, they might be like, I'm playing a video game right now, Dad, or I'm watching TikTok right now, Dad, and I don't want to put all my stuff in my room. I totally understand that. From their point of view, they're like, you're totally impeding on my time, Dad.
And from an efficiency standpoint, it makes sense. But try getting a teenager to realize that you're trying to make them efficient in some way, shape, or form. Anyway.
All right. So we're going to take a step back here, going to rate this beer.
We should.
Because we're going to talk a little.
Have you had any of this beer? Or this?
Yes, I have,
Sorry.
yeah.
Michelada.
But we're going to come back. Don't leave us just too fast.
Don't get fired up yet.
Because we are going to come back. We're going to talk about what our wives said about each of us, and if we agree or disagree with that. And then I believe Steven has a clickbait quiz
I have research for one.
on answer a few questions and see how high or low maintenance you are. So
It's going to be a play along. Everybody at home can play along
yes,
with us.
I hope they keep score and figure out if they're high or low maintenance.
All right. So tell me what you think about your old Franks. You can put this S on everything red
Right.
hot.
I love this. This is really good. I was very surprised when I first put this in the queue, and I just love the idea of Frank's because I like them as a hot sauce, and this was different. This was something I don't think I have ever necessarily tried. I know I've tried the Clamato, I believe, like
That one scares me.
with the clam
Clams,
juice and the
yeah.
beer and the stuff. But I'm not really sure I've ever had a Michelada. So it was definitely new, and I am glad that I pulled the trigger on it because I'm going to go with a solid 4. Wow. I could see this having this instead of. Now, I really liked I believe I rated the Franks a 4 for their, Sunday morning, Bloody Mary. It was really good. So the taste of this, it's not overpowering. It's and normally I don't like spicy alcohol. I tend to kind of stray away from like the jalapeno infused whiskey or something. But with this, it really just flows. It flows really well. It's got a good spice to it, but not overpowering. It's like a beer Bloody Mary, where you're not getting the kick of a normal vodka. If you're having a sort of a traditional Bloody Mary, you're getting that beer sort of flavor. It's almost like what's the word I'm looking for? Like your average Joe, instead of getting the vodka, you put beer in your Bloody Mary and you go, hey, this is what we're going to have. Really good in my opinion. So I'm going to give it a 4.
Cool. So I'm not a Bloody Mary fan. I had one over the weekend. It was decent. So just keep that in mind as we go through this, because this might get a little ugly. I started at a 1 with this.
Sure. Yeah.
I have worked my way.
At least
up.
not a 0.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'm getting sick yet. They actually nailed the hot part. It's the right amount of hot for me, which is it still burns a little in your tongue, and like it's not scalding crazy hot. Love that. I love that Frank's can nail the hot. It had a weird like two-tone taste to me for a hot minute, and I've gotten through that. Like I could taste beer separate from. Maybe I needed to shake it. I'm not even sure.
You did, yeah. You should shake it. I think it says on there.
Oh well, that would have been good to know because I didn't.
Because the parts will separate a little bit.
Yeah, I think I was drinking half red sauce at the marinara at the top and half beer at the bottom or something. I don't know. So it was a little weird at the beginning. But I moved up to a 2 halfway through, and I'm close to a 3. But I think I'm still at a 2. It's just
Let me ask you this question. So remember when you were on the boat, and I don't think you are necessarily that person that goes out and has a lot of early morning drinks, right? But if someone like if you're on a boat or you're at the lake and it's a Sunday morning and they're like, hey, or Saturday morning, let's have a little fun, let's spice it up a little, and they handed you this, would you take this over, let's say, the Bloody Mary that you had?
No, I would take a Bloody Mary over this.
Okay.
So I think I'm sticking with my 2. We had Bloody Marys in the morning, fixed right. A good Bloody Mary is hard to beat. I'm not a Bloody Mary. I won't seek Bloody Marys out. So that's saying something. And I go, I'll take a Bloody Mary over this. But a good Bloody Mary with good vodka in it, and like put some bacon in it and some spice stuff in it and some seasoning, and I love it.
Okay.
So I think I'd take a Bloody Mary over this. Not that it's horrible.
Sure.
I will finish this. I probably won't seek this out.
Right.
Is where I'm at with it. You know what I mean?
I definitely don't see you seeing this on the in the store and picking it up.
We all, or having my wife.
Right.
Go,
You'd probably point at it and go, well, we tried that one time.
Yeah.
And it was all right, but I got other things. Let's go.
I'm a solid 2.
Okay. Perfect.
So, yeah, that's where I'm at. But yeah, it's kind of a fun, it's different. I mean, it's something fun to try. So I'm glad you brought it.
Yeah. It's definitely different than I think what we've kind of been thrown in the mix lately. So
are we doing a survey now? Do you want to do the survey now and then hear what our wives thought?
Yeah.
Let people play at home and keep score?
Yeah. Let's wrap it up with how our wives rated us, if you will.
That'll be great. Okay. So keep score at home as well. This is super scientific. I have 17 questions.
Whoa.
I know. We're going to go through them fast.
Okay.
So, super fast. I want you to write down a number, like a stick tally, right? For every one that you think describes you, you put a stick tally. If it doesn't describe you, you put nothing. And we're going to see how many points you have at the end of this.
All right.
You have to be self-aware. You have to be honest. And here we go.
All right. So you're going to read one, give us some Mississippi to think about it. Don't just go flying them off super fast turbo mode.
Yep. So number 1, you're extremely inflexible in your schedule.
Okay. I think you're peeking over at my paper to see if
I am. You're never Number 2, you're never satisfied.
Okay.
Number 3, you get upset when your texts go unanswered for 10 minutes or longer.
These are excellent.
Just keep in mind, some of this is going to be like dating weird stuff because that's how scientific this is.
Okay.
Number 4, you ask your partner for help and then you criticize them when they've done the task incorrectly. Oh my God. Is that...
I mean, I can see myself doing that. I mean, but not criticizing in a bad manner. Just critical can be, non-mean.
Okay. Number 5.
I do it in a friendly way.
Yeah. I guarantee it's not perceived
now
friendly.
Do I have to put 2 strokes
you
for that?
should put 2 strokes for that. Just kidding. Number 5, you complain constantly.
All right.
Number 6.
Could you go any slower? Oh, I'm sorry. Wait.
Oh my God. I thought you said
that was a joke. That was a joke.
Now you're complaining.
Right.
Write a stick tally down, Joel.
That was a complete joke. How did you not catch that?
All right. Number 6, you can't handle it when date night or a date goes exactly not as planned.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
All right. You've put your pen down now.
No, I have it in my hand. I just
all right.
Feel like you think I should be making a lot of tallies.
I'm waiting for you to tally this stuff down and you're not writing. I'm just kidding. So number 7, you are not into a low-key night out.
Okay.
Number 8, small gestures can disappoint you.
What does that mean? Small gestures? Do they have to be grand? Is that what you mean?
Yep.
Okay. That makes sense now because, I mean, small gestures on the surface.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Good explanation. Good clarification there.
All right.
9,
you prefer much grander. Okay. Go ahead.
You never want to hang out at your partner's space. So think about that as if you're married, it's your in-laws, like your partner's family. Or if you're not married and you're dating someone, it's your partner's space with apartment, house, whatever.
Okay.
You don't like hanging out there. You want to hang out where you're comfortable.
Okay.
You monopolize most conversations. That's number 10.
All right. Again, this is the quiz to see if you are high or low maintenance.
Yep.
Give yourself a stroke tally for each of these that you agree with as applying to you.
You want the final say in every decision. That's number 11. Number 12. No,
I'm wondering if someone can hear the pen
you can
stroke.
hear the stroke tally on it. Number 12, you demand gifts, but you don't always give them.
Okay.
All right, number 13.
Demand gifts.
Yep.
Couldn't be farther from the truth on that one.
Yeah, agree. There's no stroke tally on my side. You get jealous when your partner pays more attention to their friends or a coworker than you.
So my partner, their attention, if it's not on me, I get jealous depending on who. Okay. All right. Where are we at? What number?
Sorry, that was 13.
All right.
14.
We're in the home stretch.
You and your partner must be perfectly presentable at all times when you go out.
Now, that's an interesting one. Presentable. Presentable meaning you're not going to make the people of Walmart.com like
presentable, whatever that means.
Whatever that
you.
means to me. All right.
If it has a, okay.
Stroke.
You splurge on everything from skincare to designer clothes to you feel like you splurge on things.
Okay. You said everything.
Everything.
Okay.
Skincare, designer clothes, cars, whatever that is.
Whatever I might buy, I splurge on.
That's 15. 16 is you've been called wound up or uptight before.
Okay.
17. You never ever say you're sorry.
Ooh, now that one, I think that one's a tough one. I think my family that would be probably one of the reasons that they might say, Dad, you're high maintenance. I feel like there are times when people have an expectation of an apology, and that's hard to do if you don't really feel like one is warranted. But sometimes I know you got to be the sort of the bigger person and jump on that grenade. But all right, I would really love to give myself a half a point.
Nope, you're taking a full point. Based on the description you just gave, give yourself a full point because you should apologize for your portion of hurting someone's feelings. If they interpreted something you said wrong, you can clarify it all day long. You don't have to be wrong at what you said. They interpreted it as something else. You hurt some feelings, or you made somebody feel bad about themselves, or you made them dwell on an insecurity at some point. That's not your fault. So they have it, but you triggered something.
So do you accept if you go, I'm sorry that you were offended by my statement?
No, not an apology.
So I have to mean it.
You have to mean it.
All right, put the stroke down for
you
that.
usually put a point and a half. All right. So I would love to hear if you've kept track at home. Give us your score. Put it on our socials when this episode airs. Go out and hit us up on your socials to tell us what you scored.
So what do they mean? Do you have a if you get 5? I mean, this. So if I took this online,
supposedly anything more than 7 time maintenance.
Okay, which is half, right? I mean,
A little under half. Yeah, or a little, yeah.
So 7 or higher. If you got more than half that you said yes to, you're high maintenance.
Yep.
I got a 4.5.
I got a 3.
Okay. And you looked over at my paper on several of them. I don't know why.
Yeah, you do. No, I'm just kidding.
Because honestly, what's funny is like, you you looked over for like, are you strict regiment to schedule? Well, I'm not really.
You didn't give a point for that.
All right. But I could see it in your eyes. You're like, you were trying to make a mark on my paper with your eyeballs.
I tried to Jedi force it onto there, but I didn't. It didn't work.
But honestly, I usually go in with a plan. But I am okay if the plan changes. That's the thing, and that's the thing that some people, because I've also been said, oh, you don't necessarily like to be spontaneous or are okay with change. And I said, no, that's not it at all. I like to go with a baseline because if we have no plan, then we'll just be twiddling our thumbs looking at each other. So if I don't start off with something and go, if we think of nothing else to do, here's what we're doing. Okay. But then if something changes and go, hey, look at that over there. Oh, I'm right over there. I'm like, let's go do it. So I love to have a plan,
but you can be flexible within that plan.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. So so we both scored less.
Yeah, we're super low maintenance. Our wives are probably remarkably lucky. or partners.
Of course.
So talk to me
We're
about
the best husbands.
Yeah, talk to me about what our wife said.
Yeah, what did our wives think? So I asked them, I just gave them 2 questions. I said, number 1, what do you think of your spouse? Do you think that they are high or low maintenance? And a few bullet point examples would be great to support. That makes it interesting. And then I said, 2, if you want to go and have some more fun, what do you think of yourself? Do you think you are high or low maintenance? And then a couple of bullet points on that. So we'll start with me. As my wife didn't get as in depth as your wife did with you.
I'm always high maintenance.
So this is what my wife said about me. I think Andrew is high maintenance for certain things, but low maintenance for others. Here's some examples. Examples I think show is his car. He gives an explanation every time I go to use his charging cord in the car of how exactly it should be put back in its place when done, and also where it should go to where it doesn't get pinched between the seats. And I would agree that I do give some, hey, this is how this works best.
This is I like to buy quality things and I like to protect them.
Yes.
Part
Right.
of your personality, right?
Yes.
I don't want you breaking my things. I bought them for a reason. They function the way I want them to. Don't break it.
And I figured out the best way to do it so that it negates having to go buy a new charging cord.
You've made it the most efficient it can be. Do not break my process.
That's how I look at it. But obviously, like when I'm telling the person
Apparently
who's
she
like,
does
hey,
not
can I
see it
use
the
your car?
same.
Yes, but let me give you a real quick 1-minute summary on how to use a charging cord. She's like, dude, it's a charging cord. Okay. I think I've in my many years on this earth have figured out how to use one. So in our shower, we have glass windows. I bought a squeegee for them, and we squeegee them every time we take a shower. Apparently, she would never squeegee the windows in the shower because I don't like having water spots all over the window, the glass.
We have glass. You helped me put in the shower.
I did.
It's similar to yours because we loved yours.
Right.
And we don't squeegee. We have a squeegee in the shower that we don't use.
In no surprise at all. All right. And I clean before our cleaner comes. My family loves because I pick up stuff so that the cleaner can efficiently do the stuff I don't want to do.
Efficiently.
Right. I'm like, the cleaner doesn't need to pick up clothes, right? I don't want to pay her because it's time-based. I want to pay the cleaner to deep clean the bathroom, the toilet, all the stuff I don't want to or don't have time to do. And then in terms of food, I thought this was funny because she's like, God forbid there be a cheese nip in the house because I won't eat anything but a Cheez-It.
That is true.
Which is true. But I don't have a lot of those things that there are just certain things that the knockoff brand is not going to cut it. Most everything else, I will buy the store brand and be fine with it. But she definitely hit that one on the head. I mean, Cheez-Its one day, really early in our relationship, she went grocery shopping. It was like when we first moved in together, and she brought home these cheese dips, and I was like, that's good for you, but I don't know if you
right. What am I going to eat? Because I need Cheez-Its.
I go
specifically,
but I go, don't go back now, right? I don't want to impede on your time. Just next time, if you wouldn't mind, get Cheez-Its, or I'll go get them because I'll do it myself. I'm self-sufficient. So
because I'm self-sufficient.
Yes. So my wife talking about herself, she says, I think I'm high maintenance for certain things, low maintenance on other things. So very much the same as what she thought about me. Her drink regimen at a restaurant is a little high maintenance.
Not a little. It's a lot.
She usually orders minimum 2 and most of the time 3 drinks for herself. I think I'm high maintenance for myself also. If I'm going to do something, it's all the way. If I'm going to have a nacho bar, it's a complete nacho bar with everything you could have ever wanted on that. When we do Sunday football,
Yeah, it's a big deal.
we have a lot of food. It's never just 1 or 2 condiments that are available. She makes sure everything you could possibly want in terms of food.
But that's not impeding on anybody else.
It's really not. It's catering to everybody else.
Right. It's almost the opposite.
Right.
I'm trying to overdo it for people.
Yes. If you have some wackadoodle thing you want to put on your nachos, I will figure it out and I will have it there for you, which is excellent because she loves to entertain and she loves when people are.
But the
having a
restaurant
good time.
drinks thing's 100% high maintenance. Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah, she just put I don't half-ass that stuff. And then she said, I think I'm low maintenance for all the normal girl stuff, which I think, which she doesn't take a long time to get ready, doesn't require all the sundries of, I guess, what people would categorize in that. I don't want to go through them all, but I think people kind of understand that. All right. So it sounds like that was on point, you think?
Yeah, I think her other high maintenance item maybe is just going out in general. She likes no, I take that back. It's birthdays. It's going out and birthdays. She likes to go out and do new stuff. She likes to, she wants people to go do that stuff with her. I want to go out and I want to go to Times Square for New Year's Eve and I want to go do this. I want to go out to a new place. We can't go to anything old. Or
she's she loves new experiences and wants to experience it with others.
Which is not a bad thing, but it's also going, everybody else around you doesn't necessarily always want to go somewhere new or go far away to get to somewhere new, right?
Right. All right. So do you want to hear what your spouse had to say?
Sure.
You want to start with her or you?
Start with me.
So, again, high maintenance in some areas, low maintenance in many others. She said you're more low maintenance than high maintenance, but here are your high maintenance items. You hit the top of the show, you pretty much spelled out some of them. Hobbies. Goes all in when he picks up a new hobby. Must buy whatever is needed for the hobby, and more often than not, way more than he needs for the hobby. Here's some examples. Hunting. Has at least 3 to 4 shotguns. Decoys galore. Waders, at least 2 to 3 pair. Most of them don't fit him, so he lets others use them. A couple of hunting coats. About a 29-acre property to hunt on privately. Needed a tractor for said property. Attachments for mowing, plowing, etc. Side by side. A shed. And a brush hog.
Well, she really got detailed.
Yeah.
Great.
Fishing. Goes on 2 fishing trips a year. Buys new bait for a trip every year, even though you have 4 tackle boxes full of bait for all kinds of fish. You have SPF fishing shirts, fishing pants that unzip into shorts, rain suit, fishing hat, polarized glasses so you can see the fish in the water.
It's important. All of those things are important.
I love it. Turnabout is fair play, my friend.
Oh, it is.
And music. Not just one guitar, but many. 2 banjos, a mandolin, a ukulele, a couple of harmonicas, more than 4. And this, I didn't even know you owned. Tell me, my friend, what is a mouth harp?
I did not buy that, for one. It's so my biological mom, Janet, actually gave me her dad's. He used to play mouth harp, and it's like this weird. It's like shaped like a key, and it's got this little thing that you pluck in the middle of it. You put it between your teeth or between your lips, and you move your mouth in different ways to make different noise. I can't do it, but I do have one. But it's like a kind of a like great or grandfather's like relic, or it's he played music with it. So I thought it was kind of cool. And she's like, "Hey, I want you to have this because you like music." And I'm like, "That's awesome." So.
To my earlier point, though, what's funny is most of that stuff, because you are a hard worker, you work hard, you make your own money, you buy all the stuff for the hobby, you're not impeding on other people's money and time. I don't put those in the category of high maintenance. And that's just me personally.
And I also encourage my wife to go find new hobbies and spend. It's okay to spend money on them. I don't care.
Right.
Like, go spend whatever you want. I don't even know how much I make. You do.
Find something that makes you happy.
Go find something that makes you happy and spend some money on it. I don't
She
care.
broke a lot of things down into like vehicles, clothes, foods, and hobbies. So, you're low maintenance in vehicle, clothes, you only buy new clothes if the ones you have wears out. And food, you just do not care what you put in yourself.
Such
whatever's in front of you, you will eat. And most of the time at a restaurant, you'll just say, give me your best seller and I'll try it. You ready for what your wife thinks about herself?
I am. It'll be interesting.
She, again, thinks that she is sometimes high maintenance, sometimes low. She classified her high maintenance as quirky. She said she's a panic buyer. I'm not really sure how that qualifies as high maintenance, but she says if I think of something I might want and it's going to be discontinued or might sell out, she buys it immediately, probably a few of them. She says, as an example, she loves mini pretzels over the regular size because they're cuter. So I guess if she's going to run out of mini-sized pretzels, she buys several bags of them. We've talked about her wet clothing phobia. She can't stand to wear wet clothes, more so than most other normal people. Hair products, she does use a lot of hair products, but she does have very thick and long hair, so probably needed. She said she's an overthinker. Now, this I thought was funny because I don't, again, see this as high maintenance. Maybe she thinks of herself in terms of like when she's looking at herself, she's like, oh, I'm high maintenance to myself because I overthink too much for all decisions, things that cost money,
those
wish lists,
indecision
stuff.
around overthinking cost everybody around them to like she's
Right.
obsessed with choice and I'm obsessed with the lack of choice. Like
Right.
I hate choice. So she will drive herself crazy and everyone around her crazy about, do you want this or that? Or there's also this option and this
Right.
option and this option and this option. And it will go on forever. And she
Right.
can't make a decision. And everybody around her is like, just shut up and pick one. Nobody cares. Like, it doesn't matter if it's blue or green.
And then it sounds like she'll put it off to the side, put it in a cart or on a wish list, and leave it there for a while because who knows what else might come along.
You never know. Choice.
She
Enemy of
put in
happiness.
some stuff about work and some eating out because again, a lot of stuff came back to vehicle, clothing, and food. So food, she loves to eat out and wants to be able to pick wherever you go and decide. And she doesn't want to worry about the price. Which again, I don't think that's necessarily high maintenance unless you're making it a point to go to the most expensive place you can find,
Right.
And then making it a point to choose the most expensive thing on the menu, even if you don't like it.
Yeah. No, that's not her.
Yeah, and last but not least, vacation. I want to go to the beach within 2 to 3 years of the last time I was there. And I could think if someone did not want to go to specific places and she was like, I'm in love with the beach, I got to go there. That's maybe a little bit high maintenance, but I wouldn't even tip it in that favor.
I am nothing but honest with our audience and with you, and this has been an interesting conversation. But I will tell you, my wife is extremely low maintenance in almost every area, except for emotionally. And I think she has insecurities, and I think a lot of women do,
Right.
and that drives a lot of how everybody acts around you. And that's where she impresses time and effort on everybody else's part to try to help figure that out or deal with, an insecurity of some sort. So I think that's probably, and I think a lot of women deal with that kind of stuff, especially if you had kids and, you have to put your life on hold for a while. So I think that's a normal thing, but I think that's the only
Probably
thing
say a lot of men do too. It probably just maybe goes because of a certain aspect of society. You maybe just don't hear about it as much.
But yeah, I
They
just think
suppress it more.
She's hella low maintenance on almost everything though.
Yeah, because the rest of her stuff, she said low maintenance, mostly everything else.
Yeah.
Money and vehicle and clothing. Again, she
Doesn't
broke
need-
it down into those
doesn't
areas.
need
But
anything.
I have an SUV, so the whole family can pile in, and a dog if needed, and luggage. Clothes.
Yeah, she's-
Only buy new clothes if needed for an occasion or something different to wear. Don't need name brand clothes, purses, shoes, etc. Just want to be comfortable.
Yep. I mean, like, she gets jacked up when she forgets to return a library book, and she's like, I'm late 3 days. And I'm like, is it 10 cents a day?
Right.
And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, don't panic. We'll cover it. Like, I've got that money in the cushions of the couch to pay for that. And I'll go spend $600 on a new brush hog. And she's like, I'm late 3 days on my book. And I'm like, we got different sorts of problems. Anyway, so yeah, she's super low maintenance.
So I think again that came down to sounds pretty balanced. There's some areas we think, but we don't. There's nobody shouting out, "You are for sure high maintenance."
In
Or
all
you are-
areas, you're
right.
you're impacting everyone's life in a lot of ways. It's just you have quirks.
Yeah, right. Everybody has their
My
quirks.
wife described it as quirks. I'm quirky.
Yeah, she's quirky. Which
yeah.
I would agree with. So
But
I would
you
agree
have
with
your
both
quirks.
of them.
You're efficiently quirked. I'm
Yes.
hobby quirked. So
All right, so we've covered a lot. We thought covering high and low maintenance was not going to take up an entire hour. We thought that would actually be shorter since we didn't have two things, and it turns out that we are going over the hour. So I think it's probably time we wrap it up. We had a good Michelada that we rated a little bit differently. I gave it a 4. Steven gave it a 2, which is fun when we don't exactly see eye to eye on those. Talked a lot about high and low maintenance. We took a quiz with you. Steven would love if you would post on the socials.
I would. And the other thing is, I'm going to try to get these, what we're drinking out a little bit before the episodes. So check our socials. We'll do drink alongs when we can, which I would love for you to go out and find what we're drinking and drink it along while you listen to our episode. So if you can go out and find Frank's Red Hot Micheladas and drink it along with us while you're listening, that'd be awesome. If you find it anywhere and you can't drink along with us or when you're listening, at least give us a post and a shout out on your socials and let us know what you think. Rate it and share it with your friends. Kind of spread the word. Give it, tag us in your post or post on our socials either way with a picture of you in the can. Let us know that you're out there and you're listening and you're drinking what we're drinking. And if you got can suggestions as well, give us those too.
Perfect. As always, lots of fun, my friend.
Absolutely.
You ready? Thanks
Thank you.
All right, you're at the end. It's time to go. At this point, we're just going to turn off the lights and let you see yourself out.